Were your parents, your stepfather and your mother, were they all for you becoming an athlete, or was there some holding backs if you could do it?
Yeah, my mom at first, she was unsure about whether or not I should be a gymnast, just because in Cuba there was a specific amount of body standards that they would look at before accepting somebody into the gymnastics school. And I didn't meet those standards as a child, but I did have the heart and determination for it. So my dad was always very into the idea of me being a gymnast, and I loved it from the beginning. I was not good at all, but I had the determination, so that helped.
You talk about your dad being your coach and being your inspiration. Can you tell me a little bit more about him as a coach? What does he do? Can you tell me, is there any personal connection? Do you feel like you learn more with him because he is your father?
I've never really had any different. Like, I didn't have like a couple months training with somebody else, so I wouldn't know any different, but I also wouldn't have changed it for anything different, just because we did have a specific connection from the beginning. Even though he's my stepdad, we've always had a very, very specific connection, and we've always understood each other, and we've always just known how to work together. And yeah, there's been like bad times, worse times, but we always knew how to get over them.
So you started gymnastics when you were around 3 or 4. Was this through maybe a summer camp, or did you do it at home through one of your parents' gyms?
No, it was actually because of a video that I saw. Yeah, I watched the video and I fell in love with it. I saw what I thought people were flying, and that I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want to do that.
You said that in 2nd grade that you were put into a homeschool program and not through public school or private school. Why did your parents decide to do that decision?
Well, it was not just me. It was basically, I guess, like half of the gym at the time, just because we wanted to train more. We wanted more hours for gymnastics, and so just we can be a part of the elite program of gymnastics. And for me, it definitely helped.
Is that something usual that happens at other gymnastic gyms, that the students usually homeschool if they're doing it for real?
It's like 50-50. It really depends on, I guess, the person, the gym program, how their schedule goes and stuff like that. But yeah, I know that there's a lot of people that did homeschooling for gymnastics and for other sports as well.
So from 2nd grade to high school, when you're 17, you joined the Olympic team. You're the first on the U.S. national senior team. Can you tell me, how did you feel when that expression happened to you? When did you feel that your career really took off?
Well, if you would have asked the younger version of myself, I would have said that my career took off the moment I started gymnastics. But I feel like it really turned around in 2009 when I was 17, when I made the national team for the first time ever. Just because everything kind of got, I guess, to the point where I wanted it to get to. It got more serious in the sense that I was reaching the goals that I wanted to reach, and it helped. My confidence helped with understanding what I needed to make the senior team and so on.
So I had said before that you were the youngest in history to join the national team at 17, the senior team.
Part of a group that, yeah, there's only a few that made the national team at 17, yeah.
So how did you feel joining them, that you were the youngest and there's people older than you? Did you ever feel there was some animosity, or is there a little brother, big brother feel to the team?
No, it doesn't really matter like the age you are when you make the national team. Everybody's just part of the same team. You know, there's a lot of people that were 30 something and I was 17 and we were on the same team, and like, yeah, they were old and they would like mess around with us, but at the same time it wasn't anything like, oh, like you're excluded from us. No, it was a team, and that's what we did.
So bringing it more to home, when you joined the U.S. team, you just happened to be the first Cuban-American who joined the team. So on a personal level, family and the country that you left, how did you feel when you heard that, when you're the first Cuban-American to be on the team?
Very proud of the fact that, well, Cuban-American male that joined the team, because in 2004, Anya Hatch actually won silver on vault, and she was Cuban-born and she competed for the U.S. team. But yeah, it was great being part of that history as well. You know, I felt very proud of being Cuban and feel very proud of being American, just equally amounts, you know. And it's a huge it's a huge honor to know that somebody like me, that I'm not from this country, I wasn't born here, was given the opportunity to compete for this country, and that's kind of why I felt like I had to do well. I didn't feel like pressured or anything. I just felt like, you know, they gave me a chance, and I wanted to show them that it was worth them giving me a chance.
So let's fast forward a little bit. The London Olympics was your first Olympics you had been a part of? So being your very first Olympics, how did you feel winning bronze all around on your very first time around?
To be honest, it was like a bittersweet feeling, just because like I had that whole like young arrogance, and I felt like I could have gotten better. But in retrospect, it's like such a huge accomplishment that it was crazy. It's like for like my first Olympics, and to win a medal in the event that I won, which was the all around, it's huge. And I went back to the gym, and I wanted to keep training like right away, and I wanted to go and get better the next time I went to the Olympics, and luckily I kind of did in a way. Yeah, I went to Rio and got the 2 silvers, and that was surreal.
Was London your first time being on an international stage type of competition?
No, not at all.
What was your first?
My dad actually does this thing. My parents, they introduced the whole international competition from a young age. Like the first time I ever went out internationally, I was 10 years old. We went to Brazil, and we competed at a junior event, and it was amazing. It was a whole lot of fun.
When you went to Rio, can you tell me a little bit more about how you felt on your second time now, being even better and upping your standards, and then winning 2 silvers?
I feel like I was able to, I guess, enjoy it more. I guess just understand more about what the Olympics were and what it meant. There was a lot of different situations that happened beforehand, which is probably another reason why I was just like an immense appreciation of where I was at the moment. And it was great. Like, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And being in Rio, and that was the very first South American country that ever hosted an Olympics. So being part of that history as a Latino is huge. It's great.
When you're at the Olympics, from right now, you still have a lot of healthy years ahead of you. So what do you see as your future? Is your future maybe winning a gold medal all around, winning a gold medal for one of your specific competitions?
Gymnastics is an incredibly hard event, so probably not at all, just because it gets harder every 4 years. And I'm actually going to take time off of competition. I'm not really going to stop training, but I am going to stop competing for a while, just because I want to focus on acting for a while. I'm out in LA, and I'm trying to get it, break into that world. I know it takes a lot of work, but I'm ready for that work. I'm just kind of taking all of that passion and dedication and hard work and putting it into acting.
What brought you into the acting scene? What made you think that you wanted to become an actor?
I've always had an affinity for, I guess, portraying a different character, a different persona. Since a little kid, I would always be dressed up as anything. And I just feel like that's like the right thing. I've always been completely enamored by movies, TV shows, and I've always wanted to be part of it. And I've had a huge imagination, and I still have a huge imagination, so I feel like that's just like what I'm supposed to do. I feel like that's what I'm drawn into, so that's what I want to do.
Is there a medium or a genre you want to get into with acting?
All of them. Honestly, I want to do comedy, drama, action. But yeah, mostly I feel like action would probably be like my favorite. But comedy I would love to do, and drama I would love to do too, just because it all has such different components. It's all very different, so I want to do all of it.
So is there any roles that you're getting into soon that we might be looking at you for?
I keep pitching this one role just because I'm a huge comic book fan, and I keep pitching this one role to like everybody, how there's a Spider-Man villain, his name is Kraven. His gimmick is that he takes down like big animals with his bare hands, and he's very acrobatic, and I feel like that would be a good like transition, being a Spider-Man villain, and
they are reviving their universe now.
Exactly. So it would be a dream come true if I could portray Kraven.
Now coming back to maybe some community work, Um, why do you go to these type of events? Go to schools and teach kids on your experiences? I know you're just at the Orange Bowl soon. Why do you decide to go out and show yourself to the community? What drives you?
I feel like it's still unbelievable. It's still unreal for me to like come to these places and be able to talk and tell my story and see that people are interested, like that people actually want to like listen to what I have to say. Because I remember talking to like the people that I used to look up to in gymnastics, and it was like the greatest thing that I ever experienced. And a couple years back, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, yeah, it's crazy, you know. Like I remember like watching like those guys, you know, and seeing like the world, you know, world champions and the Olympic medalists, and it was just great meeting them. And she like paused and she was like, well, you're one of those guys now. And I was like, oh wow, I guess I am. So I feel like if I can I guess give that feeling to somebody, that's what made all of that hard work worth it.
Now that we're talking about community, I'm gonna veer off a little bit from the gymnastics talk and everything. I want to know about a recent current event that happened about Fidel Castro dying at the age of 90, and I wanted to know from you, coming here at the age of 1, and your parents who grew up there and became gymnasts there, two, and your parents going there and growing up there and becoming gymnasts there, how is the difference? How do you feel about it, and what do your parents feel about it?
I actually haven't seen my dad. He's been in competition this whole past week, so I don't know. I'm sure he heard it because he was in Mexico, but me and my mom feel very similarly about it, that it's great. I'm a very optimistic person, so hopefully this is the spark that causes the Cuban government and the Cuban people to make a change and to make it into a free country. But it is extremely hard to tell, just because of the fact that at this point he was kind of just like a figurehead, so he wasn't really much. But I do understand like the impact that it is making on a specific generation. Like it's huge, and it's great news, and to know that there's a possibility of change. Not that somebody died, that's horrible, but just the fact that to know that maybe that there could be a change, it's great. It's I guess what I'm hoping for.
Could you see Raul bringing this change?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you.
From all your experience and you growing up and your mother telling you that you might not be able to be a gymnast because of your physique and your look, what would you tell to teenagers at this age who are very identity crisis at this point, that look at themselves in the mirror and think, I'm never going to be anything else, that this is just me? What would you tell to them? What experience, advice would you give to those type of people?
I would tell them to look at themselves again and ask them why it is that they're saying that. Is it because that's what they really think, or is it because maybe that's what other people are saying to them? And if that's the case, then they have to reconsider that thought process. They have to understand that it doesn't matter what anybody says. If you feel a certain way, and if you feel that you are a certain way, then that's what makes you happy, then that's what you should do, no matter what that is. And I can't say nobody can tell you otherwise, because there's a lot of bad people in this world, and a lot of people will tell you otherwise, but you have to understand that there's a lot of people in the world that are just like you, and there's a community of people that aren't and that accept you. I am one of those people, and I know there's a lot of people like me, and we're working on it. We're working on that change to try and get rid of that thought process of looking yourself in the mirror and not being happy with what you see, because everybody deserves to be who they are, no matter what that is. And if me making it to the Olympics somehow helps, then I'm happy to help. But if you need somebody to talk to, then I'm around too.